What's up, everybody? It's me, Jayshame, Jay, here from Autism Hood TV, the vlog, blog, podcast, whatever you want to call it. So, anyway, I'm here today to talk to you about being on the autism hamster wheel or getting lost down a rabbit hole or just being obsessed with why. And the reason I want to make this video is because, first of all, my son's birthday was yesterday. He turned 12. And for the last few days, I've been thinking about all these years my son's been diagnosed. He got diagnosed at 3 years old. So that's 9 years now. 9 years of being diagnosed with autism, my son. And over the years, over these last 9 years, I've met a lot of people in the autism community, and I've seen a lot of people. Actually, there's people I've met 9 years ago that I still see on social media to this day. And some of these people are still stuck 9 years ago. They're still talking about the same things. They're still obsessing over the same things. They're still asking themselves, why? Why is my kid autistic? And it's just amazing to me that after all these years, they're still stuck on the same things, talking about the same things. Now, I did that too. I want to say my son was diagnosed at 3. And from his diagnosis at 3 till about 6 years old, I was the same way. I was, why? Why is my son autistic? What happened? Like, why did he get autism? Like, why? So I spent 3 years, man, 3 whole years, every day, autism, every day. Woke up in the morning, I read, constantly reading blogs, constantly in different Facebook groups, constantly watching videos, reading books about autism, just watching videos on YouTube. And it got to the point where everything was just autism. Why? Why is autism? Why does it exist? You know, who first came up with the term? You know, why are all these kids being diagnosed with autism? You know, like, just everything, you know, I read everything, like, read about just everything, diets and, you know, all these possible reasons, vaccines, and just, I went the whole 9 yards, bro, just every day reading different things, every day, all day long. And after a while, I started to realize a lot of stuff I was reading so much, and I was consuming so much information that after a while, I started to realize a lot of the stuff that I was reading was starting to contradict other things that I was reading. And then I was starting to get confused. And once I started getting confused, then I started getting pissed off and angry, and then sad and depressed, and my anxiety got really, really, really bad. And I had to just realize I spent 3 years, 3 years of just diving head deep into autism and looking for answers that really don't even exist, you know. And by me spending those 3 years, I ended up knowing more about autism than I knew about my son. Like, I had more information about autism than I actually had about my son. And once I realized that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, whoa, this ain't good. I don't even know my son. I need to stop this. I need to stop the obsession. I need to get off the hamster wheel. I need to climb out the rabbit hole and focus on my son and learn who he is, what he likes, and how he wants to do leave all the other stuff alone. And I also had to realize a lot of times on social media, people tend to water down the experience, or they leave out lots and lots of stuff, and they focus on the good times. They focus on the happy times. They focus on the achievements and the goals and all that. And that's cool. That's cool, you know. If that's what people want to do, cool. But I had to understand that is what some people do. And I also had to understand there's people that exaggerate what's going on. They'll exaggerate because they want sympathy, or they'll exaggerate because they're lonely and they want to interact with somebody. They want people to, you know, stop and say, yeah, I understand, I get it. So, you know, you have to understand that kind of stuff too is going on. And once you start to understand everything ain't always what it seems, or everything ain't always gonna be 100% true, once you realize that, then you can kind of step back from the whole social media thing and focus on what's really happening and what's really real. That's what I had to do. And once I did that, I started to realize a lot of stuff. I was getting depressed and anxious and angry because a lot of things I was reading on social media, and a lot of the advice I was getting, and a lot of the techniques I was being told wasn't working with my son. And I couldn't understand why. But once I took a step back and said, okay, I'm gonna just focus on him and what he wants and what he likes and how he wants to do it. Once I did that, I started to realize just because a kid is diagnosed with autism doesn't mean they're gonna be just like every other kid. You know, not all autistic kids are gonna line things up in a row every day. Not all autistic kids are gonna watch the same video 100 times in a row every day for 6 months. You know, not all autistic kids are gonna eat just chicken nuggets every day for years and years. Like, some do all these things, some don't. Like my son, he doesn't line anything up. You know, he eats all different kinds of food, and he doesn't watch TV at all. You know, so, and the list goes on and on, man. Like, there's a lot of things that my son does that I'm sure other kids don't do. And there's a lot of things he does that I'm sure other kids like him do. So, you know, my whole thing is, it's better to focus on what's real and what's happening, to get a grip on what's real and what's happening, instead of focusing on social media and trying to compare what's going on social media to what's going on in the real world. Because 95% of what's happening on social media is not even happening in the real world. It's just not. And that's really how it is. You know, you have to understand these kind of things. And that's what I mean, like getting on that hamster wheel, man. Once you jump on that hamster wheel, all you do is go in a circle. That's it. You start, you know, you get to the point where you just start coming around to the same information, getting the same answers, getting the same reactions, getting the same everything, because that's all it is. It's a hamster wheel, bro. Once you jump on there, you can only read so many articles. You can only be in so many different groups. You can only read so many tweets. I mean, it's all good to know information. It's all good to know other parents and read their experiences and all that. But you can't base everything that you know about autism from what you read on a tweet, or what you watch on a video, or what you read in a blog or whatever. I mean, having knowledge is good and knowing about it is all that, but experiencing it in real life is what it is. That's what it is, you know. I think when you're a parent of an autistic kid, just dealing with it in real life every day is the only way you're gonna really understand how to help your kid. You know, you can read all the books you want, you can write all the blogs you want, you can watch all the videos you want. You have to be hands-on and experience it hands-on in real life with your actual kid to understand what your kid actually needs. You're not going to get that from watching a video or reading a blog or reading a book. You're not going to get anything from that. What you're going to get is some sense of identification. You're going to identify with the person making the video, or you're going to identify with the person writing the tweet, or you're going to identify with whatever it is. But in order, you have to actually, know your kid and be dealing with your kid and stuff in real life because all the needs are different. Like, if I based all my stuff off of what I read on Twitter and Facebook and watched on YouTube or whatever, my son wouldn't be where he is now. You see what I'm saying? Like, I had to realize, like I said earlier, most of the shit that I read doesn't even pertain to my son. It just doesn't. I have to come up with different things all the time. I have to come up with different solutions all the time. And I get a lot of ideas off of Twitter. I get a lot of ideas from reading different books and different publications and watching videos. And a lot of times those ideas that I do get, I have to modify those ideas, or I have to add to them, or I have to take away from it and things like that in order to tailor it for my son. So that's what I mean, like that hamster wheel or going down them rabbit holes. They're no good. They're no good. They're only going to lead to a feeling of emptiness, depression, anxiety, worrying, which you're going to have all those things anyway. But going on them hamster wheels and looking for answers and crawling down those rabbit holes looking for answers as to why, you're going to end up, spending all your time, man. Just spending all your time, you're going to waste years and years and years and years and years and years researching shit. And before you know it, your kid going to be grown. And you're not even going to know anything about your kid. You're going to know all this shit about autism, or you think you know all this shit about autism. But what the fuck do you know about your kid? You know what I'm saying? The fuck, you got a grown-ass kid? The fuck do you really know? You spent all your time researching shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a firm believer that even though my son's autistic and I want him to get as much help as he possibly can, I also want my son to be a kid, and I want him to enjoy being a kid, and I want to spend as much time with him as I can, because I want him to grow up and look back and have memories of daddy playing with him, reading to him, cooking for him, eating with him, just hanging out, going to the store, doing whatever, just being daddy, not daddy stuck looking at a cell phone every day, all day, or not daddy in front of the computer reading articles and chatting with people in groups and shit. Like, I don't want him to look back and that's all he remembers. You see what I'm saying? Like, I want to remember my son being a kid. I want to remember him being happy. I want to remember him playing. I want to remember him just having fun, doing whatever, And when he's grown, we'll deal with whatever's going on when he's grown, And the way I feel is, I know he's autistic, and I have him in the right school now. He gets his little therapies or whatnot, and I also know his limits of what he can deal with and what he can't deal with. And as long as he's happy and he's doing good in school and he gets his little therapies in school, once he comes home, it's time to be home. And it's time for him to be a kid at home and enjoy himself and do his little things that he wants to do. Be happy, And that's just how I feel about that. So the only piece of advice I have really is stay off of the autism hamster wheels, stay out of those rabbit holes, and spend as much time with your kids as you possibly can. And I'm gonna holler at you guys later.